Well, I see that my topic has already been introduced, strangely. Because you saw, when we started, I'm sure they may have practiced for several weeks what you should see on the screen. But within 2 minutes, you saw something we should not have been seeing on the screen. And I can imagine the stress that they went through. This is my topic. How technology has increased stress in human life. Technology is supposed to make your life easier. And our life is much easier now than ever before. But together with it comes stress. I do not know how to cope with stress, but I can at least explain to you the various aspects of stress. 1961 was a very important year in man's quest to go into outer space. And you know what happened in 1961? A man called Yuri Gagarin went up and orbited the Earth. Everybody was very excited. They said, here it is, the tantalizing thought that you could travel the Earth, go to other planets, maybe go near to another life outside the Earth. So it was a great, exciting time for everybody in the world. But there was one gentleman, a fairly unknown poet from Kerala, who wrote a poem. He said, Mr. Gagarin, what are you doing? Hey Gagarin, Gaganacharin, Pathigan en vali vittu marin. That's what he said. He said, get out of my way. Because you are destroying my imagination. You are killing the thoughts that we have fostered all these centuries. We have created this heaven and earth, and we think that the old man God is up there and we are all comfortable here. But what have you done? You have gone and seen that there is no God there. You have seen that there are no angels with wings flying around. So which means that my reasoning is gone, my imagination is gone, my thoughts have no value, and therefore please get away from my path. And this is a thought that occurred to him, and that stress that he felt as a poet at that time. Then he turned to the poets and said, why are you in a stupor, poets? You take your own barometer, your own thermometer, and find a new world, because your world is gone. You have to create a new world of imagination. And that's how he created new poetry in Malayalam. Since those 55 years ago, the stress has only increased. Starting from the glitches like what we saw today, to cyber warfare which might destroy the earth. The mystics, in fact you should all feel very happy that technical glitches are not the monopoly of the developing world. I have seen it in two of the most renowned technological institutions in the world. One is MIT and the other is NASA. I don't have to give you the full names of these institutions. We were in MIT, Mr. K.R. Narayanan, he was my ambassador, who of course later became President of India. Everything was check, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, everything was done. But when Mr. Narayanan got up, the mic failed. So you know what Mr. Narayanan said? I am familiar with this, because I come from a little village, Uravur, near Kottayam. But if this happened while I was speaking, they would have said, this is third world technology. But in MIT, it can only be called systems failure, he said. My second experience, I was invited to NASA for the launch of Kalpana Chawla, not the second launch in which she died, but the first launch. And by the time I reached the station, I was told that she is already inside the capsule. So the only way I could speak to her was on phone. So we were taken inside, and I was told, yes, Kalpana is on the line, please speak. So I said, hi Kalpana, nothing, no reaction. The head of NASA is standing next to me. He said, I spoke to her in the other room just now. Please carry on. I said, I'm so and so. No response. So I thought, this is it. I won't be able to greet her before she leaves. And then I had a science assistant with me. He was clever enough. He looked under the table. And do you know what had happened? The cleaner in the morning had pulled out the wire to clean it. So if it can happen in MIT and in NASA, it can happen anywhere. But that is not the point. The point is how much stress these things create for you. Because the more and more technology that we use, the more and more stress you have. What is it that we use most? We use a computer to do your work. And imagine the moment, which has happened to me several times, when you have just finished what you wanted to write and you are ready to click the send button, you find the power is gone and the connectivity is gone. So you sit and pray because you have already been working for hours together. And then what happens? Finally it appears, you are very happy, and then you find that you have forgotten to click the save button an hour ago. So from this minor kind of stress that you get in ordinary life, there are so many others. What is it that we have lost because of technology? Privacy. We have lost all privacy in our lives. My son, who is a technologist, once told me, don't write in the internet anything that your parents, your wife and your children should not see. Because whatever you write is permanent. It will not disappear. So any time in the history of your lifetime, your sins will come up, and therefore don't do it. But we all do it, don't we? When we write, we feel more intimate than while you speak. So you never think of the privacy that you have lost. Once someone said, the internet may become faster, more efficient, but will never become more secure. Think of other simple things like a password. How many of you can remember all the passwords that you need? Most of the time you have forgot password, you find another one. So I have run out of all birthdays of my children. I've run out of the village names that I had. Everything, because each time you are changing your password. Then what do? One day I decided, today I'll change the password into the book that I have on my table. That's something which I cannot forget. But when I want to put in the password, I put in the name of the author, not the name of the book. So finally I got the right advice. Do you know this is an advice good for all of you? You should use your password as the word incorrect. Alright? Then what happens when you put in incorrect or put anything else wrongly, then the computer will say your password is incorrect. Then you can go straight and remember your incorrect. And how many of these problems that we face in our day-to-day life? I was talking about the dangers that face the world today. People say that the next war in the world will be fought not with bombs, not with guns, but with cell phones and tablets. There are already instances where people have found that you can destroy the economy of a country without killing anybody. A virus can be sent into the economy, the Reserve Bank of India, and you will find that you are pauper in the next 2 minutes. Look at the prospects of that. And that is why somebody said, you all heard T.S. Eliot, who said, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. So it will not be the bang of a nuclear weapon that will destroy this world. It will be the whimper of a computer. But don't be distressed by all this, because there is a way to do it. A way to use technology which is appropriate. The way to use technology in a restrained manner. Many of you may have seen that picture where a rocket, this was at the time of Mr. Abdul Salam when he was in Trivandrum, he put a rocket on his cycle and he cycled towards the launching pad. Is there a more appropriate way of using technology? Because everybody will think this is a rocket. It has to go fast, right? But is there any reason for the rocket to reach there? The speed comes after the rocket is launched. So you can go in the slowest manner that you can have the rocket launched, and therefore there is no need to rush it on a fast car or a fast train. And therefore technology. You have technology now today. If you are on Mount Everest, you can reach the Miami beach from there. But is there any need for it? You will never climb Mount Everest. You don't need that technology. And you may not know anybody in the Miami beach. So the way to do it is to adapt technology, or adapt it in order to make it comfortable for you. And you should be the last person to call for technical assistance. That is another big crisis that you can have. When the issues like you cannot talk to an operator anymore, can you? I would like to ring an operator and speak to him or her, and also try and chat her up so that she does your work herself more effectively. But then what are you told? To do this, press 1, to do this, press 2, do this, press 3, and nothing happens. And therefore the stress is more. So in fact, in the United States, there was a company who would sell you the number of one company, say American Express, in which by dialing you can get a human being. So the human being himself has become so precious. And then they always say, of course, you have technical support. And you know the story of technical support. They will say, this is no problem. Your glitch is no problem. Press this one. Press this, click this button. And you look on it, you will never see that button ever. If you knew what they were asking you to do, you could perhaps do it yourself. There was no need for technical support. And probably the worst job in the world is being a technical support person. So you may have seen a little cartoon where the king calls a criminal and he says, I have to punish you. What shall I punish you with? You have 3 options. He said, 1, to be hanged, 2nd, to be drowned, 3rd, to be appointed as technical support for my computer. I would never have chosen the 3rd. I would have chosen the first 2. So this is the kind of complicated world that we have before us. The technology, we have become slaves to technology. And we do not think in terms of how we can use appropriate technology for our own use. Telephones are becoming big, telephones are becoming small, becoming bigger. And then you have this tremendous need to be in touch with everybody whom you don't need. I cannot move out of my table when I wake up in the morning unless I check my Gmail, I check my Facebook, I check my Twitter. All these, and of course, continuing WhatsApp. So what is the need for it? Do you really need so many platforms? But you must be surprised to know these are not the 4 platforms that exist in the world. There are many others. So you feel completely dissatisfied. You feel that you have not read enough. You feel that you are not in touch with the rest of the world. But try and see, switch off your computers for 2 weeks and see what happens. Nothing will happen. The world will go on as it used to do in the past. And then you sit there thinking that unless you read these things, you will not be able to catch up with the world. So it's not catch up with the world, that's not what we ought to be doing. We should be discriminating enough to understand what your needs are and tailor your technology to your needs. So therefore, stress is inevitable in technology, but if you are able to use that effectively and reduce your stress, perhaps the technology will become your slave rather than you become the slave of technology. And if you are stressed out hearing my speech, please switch on your computer and listen to some heavenly music. And even better, take it and go out and play Pokemon Go. That is the way to use technology. Thank you very much.